So this part of the village has managed to stay relatively sort of traditional feel to it. They're redeveloping the old Rose and Crown pub, which I actually went into them in Leeds to JP Wild and wrote to the co-op, and I even wrote to Jodie Whittaker as well, because it's got the old police box outside it. And actually those row of houses opposite are really nice, actually. They're really nice houses. And I said, can you leave that railing? And they have left it, but it's not as nice as it was before. It's just these companies are just buying, and they just like got money and they just buy stuff and change it. We're supposed to have regulations in place to protect places. Like they've done up that place next to the old place, and it doesn't look as nice now next to it. I mean, we're lucky to have that building. There are lots of amazing buildings that people are posting on the group that we've lost. And actually a lot of people like putting photos of them saying that they really liked them. So I think there's a lot of people in the group who actually have my opinion. Now this row here, right, for our area, there aren't really many places left like this anymore, and I think that it's nice to be able to walk past it even if you don't live there. And to be honest, it's better to walk past it than if you live there, because if you live inside it, you're looking out, they're only small houses, it's nothing to be annoyed about. To be honest, I'd rather them still be here, and I'd rather be able to walk past them and see them than live in it, because it's nice to have something that you can walk past and look at. Now, why have they gone and banged these here? Now, is it because of that JP Wild conversion of the co-op and the planned Castle Hill? When did they need, right? When did they actually need traffic lights here? Did they need them last year? Did they need them 6 months ago? If they needed them, they'd have done them 6 months ago. Did they need them 2 years ago? Did they need them 3 years ago? If there was any reason for them to need them that desperately, right, then why didn't they do it last year or year before or year before that or year before that, right? Now we've got an old road here where there's an old water trough there. Right, it's got a really traditional water trough in the side of the wall, which is really a nice thing to have. Not many places have like anything like that anymore, right? And then I think they've even put it looks like they've put these barriers in, which weren't there before. There was nothing wrong with this road here. They weren't there before. They've come and put these in as well. And that's actually a really nice house there, a really nice building, which had a nice pavement past it, and they've gone and done that as well at the same time. Because it wasn't long when I walked past there, because I was just looking at that bit there and thinking that's really nice as well. And they've gone and put those out. That wasn't there before either. And then now they've gone in to do this, but it's all money spent. It's a nice old bit of the village, and they're just putting all loads of modern bits in, but there's no need for it. If that needed that there, why wasn't it there before? And it's because of this JP Wild and the co-op. The co-op are just buying places. This village doesn't want or need any more traffic through it. This village doesn't want or need any more traffic. It was perfectly alright as it is, this village. And then JP Wild and the co-op come in. There was so much business in that co-op, and they just want more money and more customers in, and then bringing more people up into the village and saying, oh well, we'll have to have more traffic lights now. I've walked down here at night time in the dark, and it's actually nice to walk through an old village. You're actually walking through an old village, and that's why I walk through it, because I like it, and because it's old-fashioned and it's all that's left, this row here, and they've gone and put those there. And it's weird because actually, not that long after I wrote to Jodie Whittaker to tell her about the police box, that we need to keep it traditional, and ask if she'll say I'll do something, there was a pink ball actually there up against the pavement, and I don't know why it hadn't rolled off down the hill. Just actually where those are. It is like we're actually being hijacked by all these companies. Why do we need all these traffic lights and things here? It's an old road. Who is it who works in the council who's planning this? You can't even object to it or do anything like that. They just go and do it. Now that JP Wild, I have been coming to this village, right? And I was specifically coming here to walk past the buildings because I like them, right? And there was no planning notice outside that Rose and Crown, right? When I was walking past before JP Wild turned up, there was no planning notice. And then JP Wild set up all the stuff, And I went in to ask them what they were doing, and they said, oh, well, we're just having a look at it. They weren't having a look at it, they'd already put planning in, and then they actually turned up, and they're just doing it. There's nothing that the voter can do anymore, because they don't put the notices up, and it's not just here. They actually did it out opposite us where we live to a wall, and it was a guy who owns the house. He put the notice so it couldn't be seen and people didn't object to it. And it's the same that this Indian company on here in this Indian restaurant did the same when they wanted to convert the back of the building. There was no planning notice up there, and as soon as it appeared, I looked at it and it had expired, and it hadn't been there before because I like that building, and I was walking past it. I was coming up here a few times a week and there was no notice there. As soon as I would have seen a notice outside there, I actually would have gone over there straight away. As soon as I'd have seen a notice outside there, right, I would have read it straight away to see what they were doing, right? And there wasn't no notice, and as soon as it was there, I looked and it had expired and they hadn't put it there. And this is the same as what they're doing at John Conn's. With the petrol station at John Conn's when the Asians did it there. The Asians at the petrol station at John Conn's, right? It was the back of it got pulled down for ages, and there was never no planning notice of development or anything. And they waited ages and ages and ages and ages, and then suddenly they changed all that. And then opposite John Conn's, there's actual planning. They were planning for trees, where it was a protected area with trees and forests and woodlands, and actually the jeepers used to park on there, and John Cotton didn't like those jeepers. And he's gone and turned it into a car park. They've acknowledged that part of it was protected, but they ignored that the point of the protection was to protect the whole plot, the whole area, because it was a nice bit of greenery. And there were some trees planted there on the left-hand side to make it look nice. And if they'd have acknowledged those trees, then they wouldn't have been able to go in there. So they pretended that it was only some other trees to the right hand side and not the whole square, the bit around it. And then John Cotton's wiggled his way in, which is criminal. And it's Cllr's council who are not enforcing it. They're doing it again and again. And the prime evidence, right, is this. The prime evidence is this. If I was making it up, right, if no such planning breaches exist, if no one's tricking anyone, if no one's failing to put planning notices out, right, why is it that the Thandi partnership on Castle Hill, on a major site, applied and did not build what they were going to even say they were going to build? They started building something completely different. And if somebody hadn't pulled them on it, they'd have just carried on and continued. That is what is happening at other sites, and no criminal action's been taken against them. Now there's the TARDIS that's been refurbished. It said West Yorkshire Police on before. Now it looks blank, and it's either a different plate or they've smoothed it over or turned it around, right? This Rose and Crown pub is a beautiful building. They've taken all the JP Wild stuff down now, and they had some beautiful flags out here, and they've gone and ruined them all. There were some beautiful flags out here, and I said to them, can you keep these flags, the original flags, because they were nice flags. And they've just gone and ripped it all up. I don't actually know how much of it is even left. It doesn't even. Then they've put this thing outside the top with a clear thing in. That's the old bit they've kept there. Right, if I hadn't said anything, right, that is still there because I complained, right? I complained, right? That old original square bit around there, right, with the slope on it, which is almost like on the computer game. Google did a Doctor Who computer game as well, and they looked at the place, the site of one of the, it is the biggest TARDIS that there is. And the last level of that Doctor Who computer game, right, they did all tiles around it. If you go into the Google thing, I'll put the link, and they copied it. They looked at Google Maps. I know they've done it because that's why they thought it's the last level, right? And why would you have a level with all tiles laid out, right? They did it because all the tiles, right, are next to the Doctor Who TARDIS, right? I think he researched for the game, he has to have done, right? And on part of the game, there's one like tile you can't go on. Now this pub has got one square, it's like one square that you can't go on it because it's blocked off, you go around it. But it's kind of like just an old-fashioned railing. But the thing is, all these houses have got old-fashioned railings, and those there, right, look at this, right, opposite the TARDIS, right? I've never complained in my life about having a small house, and we don't live in a small house now, we live in a big house, but I never complained when we were in a small house, ever, right? Those houses, right, have been made to look really pretty and beautiful in this village with nice doors and a little bit of flowers on the edge, and it's a traditional building. You've got to see the beauty in it, and it can be nice. The whole row could be like that if people could be bothered. If they want all these stupid wheelie bins outside there, which is all the rubbish from all the excess stuff people's having, look at all these wheelie bins. If they want all those wheelie bins on there, right, you could, all the money people are giving to the lottery, all the money that people are giving, right, to the lottery. Oh, we'll give money away to the lottery. They're spending it hundreds of pounds every few months or every whatever. It could, a little tiny bit could make that look beautiful, And on this side, we have got these like the old houses with the plants growing up, opposite where the TARDIS bit is. Even if I'm not even bothered about living somewhere like this myself, but I just like walking past it to see somewhere nice for a change, because everywhere's getting ruined. Like these really nice old houses, and then that restaurant's a really old building, and the Conservative Club. I don't know what Bernard McGuin's doing, and I don't know what Bernard's doing, because he was behind them putting that barrier at Cllr. He's meant to be in charge of this ward. He has some sort of pride in here because he likes the Conservative Club. Now, if they were going to demolish the Conservative Club, Bernard would be straight on them, and he'd be getting 800. He'd only need 800 signatures. He'd probably only need one signature, Bernard. All Bernard needs is a couple of signatures when he wants to step in, and he steps in, right? Now, this JP Wild, right? Why has suddenly traffic lights appeared down there? If there were loads of accidents there, or if there was an issue, if it was that bad, why didn't they do it last year? Why didn't they do it the year before? Why didn't they do it the year before that? Why have they done it now? That bit doesn't want any modern things there or any modern street furniture. That corner is really beautiful as it is. Now, Kirklees Council might say, I'm just moaning and grumbling and complaining all the time, right? Well, if it weren't for me, then that wouldn't still be there. That original part there, if it weren't for me, that is there because I complained about it, right? I complained that they were going to ruin the building if they got rid of that. And I said, you better keep that original thing there. And I went all the way to Leeds multiple times, and I wrote into Jodie Whittaker on the BBC headquarters, right? So I don't know why they're doing those traffic lights back there. I know it's a bit of a dodgy bend at the top, but you've got to slow down and stop there anyway. You can't go that fast past there. And if they're queuing there, then they're not moving anywhere. Rather, they're just stationary. So it's like, where are they going? And why have they brought the road out on the other road where the trophy's on the corner? Because it's not... The whole point of it is it's original, and where that old house was there, the pavement, it was just like a normal old traditional pavement. Why does it need to go out there with the bollards? It's like the people who work on the council, they don't have any vision or value or appreciation in certain things, and they just want to keep themselves busy, something to do, because if they weren't doing all those things, right, then they wouldn't have any jobs to do. And there are people on the groups, right, who are actually saying they should be fixing poles and fixing roads and stuff. Like that Rod Stewart video that somebody posted when he's actually helping him do the road himself, when they're spending 11 million on a new motorway. It's like all the money they're spending on town, if they was maintaining the other places, they wouldn't need doing up or changing. It's just kind of like a hobby or a fad, and they're getting paid for it. And then you've got all these companies who are intervening, like the Co-op and other places, who they are using money, and they're just doing projects and ending up where the whole village is suffering. Oh, we're going to make the co-op bigger and bring a load more people into the village. Well, the village people who live here aren't going to benefit. Well, the only person who's going to benefit is the co-op. The village is going to suffer from traffic. And to be honest, there aren't even that many people living down that other road. And why would people go to that shop when there's a shop at the bottom of the hill by H's Bar? So why have they put those traffic lights there? It's just ridiculous.